Morning everyone. So I promised to do a second video using the pattern play stamps and the coordinating stencil, which has got the cut out shapes. So I'm just going to show you one of the things that you can do with these. I'm going to use the scallop shapes. I may use a couple of the circle shapes. I've not decided yet. So bear with me a second. I'm just going to grab some, I just need to grab some brushes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some inks for this. Of course you could use paints. It's not a problem. I'm just going to use, just for ease and so that I don't have to worry about trying to get stuff dry, I'm going to use some coloured inks. So I'm using the Aladdin inks, but of course your distress inks, anything like that are going to work. Okay, so whatever you have to hand, whether it could be your coloured archival inks, distress inks, whatever you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going in. So I'm going to take my stencil and I've got the scallop shapes, I've got the circle shapes. So let me think, what could I do? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in first of all with my circle. Let's move these out of the way. So just roughly, and you could do this on a journal page, you could do this you could do it on a journal page, you could do it for a card front. So what I can do is obviously I can use my stencil as a template to get my colour down. Okay, so I can do that. I could even go in if I wanted to and add, let's have a look, a little bit of the, maybe a little bit of the green around the edge. What I do tend to normally do is mask off the edges because I am going to make a little bit of a mess, I think, but you'll get the idea. So just going in. Okay, so that gives me my first inked shape. So of course I can line this up. I'm not going to stress too much. It's going to be what it is. And I'm going to do this in three places. Do them in a line. And like I said, I'm using the inks just for ease, really, because then I haven't got to worry about getting them dry in between. But you could certainly do the same technique with your paints. Okay, so that's 2, and I'm going to do one more. Okay, 3. Okay, so then obviously what I can do, I've got that down. What I can then do is take one of my circle stamps, and I can do this with I could heat emboss, I can do it with black, I can do it with whatever I want. I'm just going to do it with black for the demo today. But so what I can now do is make sure obviously that I ink up my stamp really well, because I want a good image. And then I can go in, I can give it a good press down, and that's going to give me a nice image on top of the coloured circle. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other 2. Make sure I get a nice image, and then the same on the 3rd one. And of course I could keep this going and keep it going off of the page as well. But for what we're doing, this is just This is just demo, just to give you an idea of what they can do and the idea, to give you an idea of the idea behind the stencil, which was the purpose in the first place, if you like. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stencil again, and I'm going to take one of the other shapes now. Shall I go for the small or the large? I'm thinking maybe the small. Yeah, maybe the small. So what I'm thinking is now I could go in. So I have my small scallop. So I could now go in and I can ink up between. And again, I could add a little bit of colour around the edge to give me a bit of a variation. I'm not going to get too stressed about it though, but you get the idea. Okay, so that gives me my second one. I'm going to do the same here. As I said before, you can certainly do this with your paints. It doesn't have to be with your, it doesn't have to be ink pads. Okay, so then I'm going to go in on the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm just lining it up as best I can because I know that it's not going to be perfect because it's not symmetrical, it's hand drawn. It's not manufactured, it's not made in a machine. All of my stamps and stencils are hand drawn, so they're never ever going to be perfect. They're never going to be perfectly symmetrical. That's kind of the way it is. Okay, so that's that one, and then okay, so then of course I can take my next stamp, whichever one that happens to be. So I'm using one of the small scallops because I want that to fit in, and I'll take my black ink pad again. And obviously I want to ink that up really good. And then I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to stamp. I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to stamp. And it does mean, obviously, we're doing this on a white background. So obviously it does give you the option of having the coloured scallops on a white background. But you could also do this on a painted background and use your stencil to block out colours on top of your painted background and then stamp on. So it's just a different way that you can use the stencil. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go in, let's go in there. So I'm going in with the larger scallop now. I think I'm going to go in with the pink just to shake up the colour a little bit. And again, just filling in. What I tend to do, if I've got, I haven't done it today, but what I tend to do is if I'm using stencils where, like for instance with this one, I'm quite near the edge of the stencil when I'm stenciling. What I would normally do is put a piece of clear sellotape, packing tape, and create an extra edge, an extra lip, just so that I don't go over the edge. Hopefully that makes sense. So that one, and then you can go in there. And obviously the beauty of the stencil is that you can pretty much see through with the stencil, so at least you can kind of gauge where you're going to put your shape. Blue, just to give me that purple edge. Of course you don't have to do that. I quite like that it's giving me two different colours. And then again I can just pick out a stamp, one of the stamps. And the stamps, so this is from the newer set, that will fit. This is from the newer set, that will fit. This one's from the older set, it will fit. So all of them from the two sets will fit with this stencil. So I'm just going to go in, I'm just going to grab my black ink again. And obviously I could keep going, so I could make this pattern as big as I wanted to. So I could go right off the edge of the page and completely fill up the page. So I'm just going in now with this one. So I'm just lining it up. And press it down, and then the same on this side. So I'm just going to line it up and stamp it down. So you can see you can get a really pretty, obviously you can be a little bit more careful than I have, you know, I've gone outside of my stenciling. You can certainly be a little bit more careful than I have, but you can see you can get a really nice look with those stamps. And as I said, it doesn't have to be, we've done it directly onto a white background so that we can use the colours on a white background. You could certainly have a painted page and then use your stencil to put a base layer down and do different colours over the top of your painted journal page. So it will work that way too. So hopefully that's given you an idea. I know that's a quick one, but hopefully I'll see some of you doing some of these and get them posted. Of course I could go in now, I could add pen work, I can add sparkles, I can have gel, paint pens, etc, etc. So I can build up on that. But hopefully you can imagine if this was completely covered and I cut that up into a card front, that would really give a nice look to a card front and something a little bit different. So hopefully that's given you an idea of how the stencil works with the two stamp sets. Look forward to seeing what you come up with, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.